Hey, what's up guys? My name's Brandon, and welcome to Audio Addiction, where we do music reviews, we do live video, as well as we do weekly episodes, which air every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. So we'd love to see you in the chat, so hopefully you can make it out to the next episode. But, I'm getting away from the topic. We're going to be talking about the new Issues album, Headspace, which comes out May 20th. So, if you've been living under a rock, Issues just releasing or is releasing a new album tomorrow called Headspace, like I mentioned, and it's the follow-up to their sophomore album, their self-titled album. And I couldn't be more excited for it. Definitely one of the albums I was looking forward to this year, and getting hyped for Warped because I know they're going to be on Warped this year. So definitely a great time to release an album for the summer. It's right around the corner. Warped's right around the corner. So you guys, hope you enjoy this album. Hope you enjoy my review. If you do, make sure to subscribe to see more content like this, as well as like our videos so you can help us out. So I'm getting away from the topic. So I'll start off with there's 13 tracks in this album, which is quite a nice size album. There's 12 full tracks and one track being an interlude into Slow Me Down, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So we'll move it off to the first song, The Realest. So this was the first track that they released off the album as basically their first single, and couldn't have picked a better track to start off with. I mean, awesome instrumentals in this track, as well as, the usage of Scout, as well as, of course, Tyler and Michael doing vocal duties. Super solid track. I feel like the rest of the band shines more on this track than the actual vocalist, which I appreciate because AJ's riffs are awesome on this track. Definitely getting that jazz kind of feel. I don't know if they took jazz classes or not. I heard a rumor that they took jazz classes before they wrote this album. But you can definitely tell that like jazz, like R&B, soul kind of vibe to it. And then you get this awesome like bass parts from Sky. He even gets his own bass solo towards like the bridge part, so that's kind of cool. And then just Josh kills it on the drum set per usual. Super solid track. Michael does a little bit of rapping in the beginning, and Tyler just kills it with his clean vocals. Solid track, awesome track to lead off with, and I can't stress it enough, awesome track. So we'll move on to the second track, and that one is called Home Soon. So basically it's kind of like an R&B, soul, mad at myself kind of version of the song on this album. It's pretty much like the equivalent to Mad at Myself on this album. Which means it primarily focuses around Tyler's clean vocals. And let me just tell you, he's probably one of the best vocalists out there now, clean vocalists. He's got such a solid voice. He's got awesome runs, an awesome ability to do some higher vocals and to do some lower vocals, and it's super awesome to hear his diversity in this track. I feel like he shines immensely in this track. And I don't know if there's too much of Michael, but I mean, Michael is starting to pick up a little bit more clean responsibilities, but still a solid track from the Issues guys. If you enjoy like that soul R&B vibe, then you'll definitely dig this track. So we'll move on to the third track, and this one's called Lost and Found on a Roll. So basically, the guitar, bass, drum, everything starts off with like a fast beat, and it kind of sounds like, a hardcore like pop punk intro kind of a thing. I know they had that kind of reminiscent to Never Lose Your Flame on the self-titled album, so it's cool to see that kind of, reimagining of that kind of intro sort of thing feel. And again, another solid track. They actually got Sky's and Scout's family to do more choir vocals for, about, I think, the bridge part, which is awesome. And then also towards the end of the bridge, they go a key up, which I feel is awesome. I mean, I know it's not like a huge thing, and a lot of people, I mean, sure it's noticeable, but not a lot of people, I guess, would, point it out. But I feel like it's just an awesome, way to switch up the track a little bit. Definitely shows their skills and abilities to, manipulate the track a little bit. But definitely another solid track. We're already 3 songs in, and the album's really solid in my opinion. So super stoked to tell you about the rest of them. So we'll move on to track number 4, and this one's called Young and Dumb, and it's featuring John Langston. Now, I had never heard of John Langston before this track. Like, I had to look him up before we were doing this review of the Issues album Headspace. But basically, he's a country artist based out of Atlanta, obviously the same, state and city that Issues is based out of, so it's a no-brainer for them. And being from Atlanta, I'm sure that they enjoy country music, so they wanted to kind of add that influence into their music. And you can definitely tell that there's a country influence in this track, not even including that they had a country vocalist on it. I also think he did an awesome job on this track. It definitely adds another flavor to, like, what they do. I mean, they do that gent stuff, they do the R&B stuff, they do the soul stuff, they do the top 40s like pop kind of tracks. It's just really diverse, and just to add country to that mix is very interesting, and it just makes the track kind of stand out to me. I mean, it's not necessarily one of my favorites, but I find it to be interesting. Just, the mix of country, a little bit of metalcore, a little bit of R&B, because, he's got that type of R&B vibe to him. So, definitely another solid track. Not personally one of my favorites, but, to each their own. So, if you like that track, I'm not trying to hate on it. Did enjoy the track a lot, but it's just not one of my personal favorites. So we're moving on to track number 5. This one's called Made to Last. It's definitely got that, like, love kind of feel to it. Another solid track where, Michael does a little bit more clean vocals, and it kind of shows his diversity with his vocals, as well as, Tyler's just killing it again as usual. And the instrumentals, just solid again. Solid song. Nothing to me stood out too much to it. Still a solid track. Probably one of the better tracks off this album, in my opinion. But we're going to move on to track number 6, Flojo. And Flojo in Spanish means lazy. If you didn't check their Twitter, that's what they said on their Twitter page. So, just in case you wanted to know about that. Basically, this track is the heaviest track on the album, and it's probably my favorite track off the album, just not solely based because it's heavy. It's just got this awesome, like, new metal kind of groove to it almost. It really just makes you want to move and stuff. Michael kills it on this track with his screams, and we also get to hear AJ scream on this track as well, and I feel like in this album he's underutilized. I feel like he could have just hit it real hard with, like, some of the harder tracks. I understand there was only, like, there's a few solid tracks on here, heavy tracks, but I feel like in the next record they should really add him into more tracks to do maybe like backup screams for Mike or whatever. But awesome track, definitely has got to be. The track starts off with Scout doing his like DJ scratches and stuff. And then it just goes straight into this awesome heavy riff, and it's beautiful. So, props to AJ. He made such a slick track. Love this track. Definitely my favorite off this album. So we'll move it on to track number 7. And this one's entitled Hero. So, definitely has that happy vibe to it. But again, instrumentals solid on this track again. And it's a happy-go-lucky song, honestly. It just makes me feel real happy about it. I mean, I don't know what else to explain about it. Definitely another solid track. I don't think I could really hate too much on any of these tracks. Just all solid tracks. So we'll move it on to track number 8, which is Coma. Again, this is the second single that they released off this album. And again, another awesome single to release. It definitely shows the type of diversity that they had, over this album. It just got a more solid cleans from Michael. Got Tyler killing it again on this track. Just another solid track, really good track to, lead with as a single, just to kind of get a basis for, what the rest of the album will sound like. So, definitely a good track to start off with. So, we'll move on to track number 9, and that's Rank Rider. Now, this track is one of my favorites, along with Flojo. Just because it's got this heavy, like, awesome riff, and it's just such a solid track. It's got this heavy guitar from AJ, and then it's got some awesome bass lines from Sky, and then Josh, again, holding it down on the drums on this track. And, it's heavy, but it's also got some great cleans from Tyler again. Like, Tyler has definitely stepped up his game from the last album. Another solid track to check out. Definitely check this one out. One of my favorites again, like I mentioned. So we're moving on to track number 10, Blue Wall. They released this one as, I think, the third single off the album. And as it was met with some controversy because, police brutality is a huge thing now. And so I guess they wanted to kind of get their opinion out there, saying that it's not necessarily all cops, but it's crooked cops. And, I personally don't like the lyrics of it, but I can understand them. And I get where they're coming from and stuff. I'm not trying to knock them for anything. I mean, they do what they want to do. They have the creative, ability to make lyrics like that, so they can do whatever they want with it. So, but on a pure music standpoint, this one's another heavy track. I don't think it's as heavy as FloJo in my opinion, but again, another solid track. I mean, definitely new metal influence again. You can definitely feel vibes of like North Lane and stuff like that, like gent bands in Heart's Wake, kind of like those types of vibes to them, at least in my opinion. That's what I got from it. So we're moving on to track number 11, and as someone who does, basically the lyrics are about Tyler's dad and like how he wasn't there for him and stuff. But this one is an interesting track. It's probably one of the standout tracks up there with Young and Dumb. Feels like Langston House 2.0, honestly, to me. It's got, Tyler doing his little rap bits, and it's got Michael doing a little bit of scream and a little bit of rap bits as well, doing some cleans, mixing it up a little bit. Definitely a curveball in the rest of the tracks. Like, if you hear it, it definitely is a different track, and it's a standout track in my opinion. But again, another solid track. Probably up there with my favorites for sure on this record. So we'll move into 12, and this is the interlude into basically Slow Me Down. And so I'll kind of briefly go over it. I like the little ambient sounds, and I like how they kind of like, it kind of flowed into Slow Me Down. I feel like, if they just played Slow Me Down, it kind of gets you prepared for the next track. So it is a great way to, get it ready for the ending of the album. So we'll move into the last track, which is Slow Me Down. They released that as their fourth single not too long ago, I think about like 2 weeks ago. But another solid track. For some reason, that intro reminds me of Evanescence. I don't know why. It just gives me that like Evanescence vibe, like at the beginning. Maybe I'm going crazy, who knows? But that's what it reminds me of. And just the rest of the track, solid. Towards like the last minute, you get that like gent North Lane, like where they just like let it ring out and go real slow. Awesome way to end the album. I don't think they could have ended it any better in my opinion. Slow Me Down is a solid track, and I've been jamming it ever since it came out. And again, solid album. Probably in my top 10 for this year already, and we're just getting started. We got albums from Silent Planet, we got albums from Invent Anime, we got an album from Fit for a King. We still got like a ton of albums, and then Pierce the Veils just came out, which was an awesome album. Highly suggest you pick it up if you haven't. If you'd like, I do a review for you guys. Just, make sure you leave it in the comments if you want me to do one, and I'll definitely break it down. Even though it's only been out for a week now, I'd love to do a review for that. As well as, if you have any other albums you'd like me to review, just link them in the comments. I'll try to get around to it. Definitely, I have a lot more time to do reviews, and I love, sitting down, listening to new music. So, if you feel like I'd enjoy it, definitely put it in the comments, or post it to our Facebook page at Audio Addiction NJ. So, that's it, guys. And basically, I'd give this album a 9 out of 10. It's definitely one of the best albums of the year so far in this metalcore, like post-hardcore kind of genre, in the scene for sure. Definitely a solid album you should pick up. Definitely support them. I know they need it and stuff. And if you haven't seen them, if you missed them on their last tour, they're like I said, they're gonna be touring on Warped this year. So definitely check their set out if you haven't. And that's pretty much it, guys. Also, like I said, I'm gonna leave a link. I'm gonna leave an annotation up at the top here for our episodes. If you like what I did, at least, hopefully you can check out our videos. And if not, hope you have a nice day. And I'll talk to you guys soon. All right, see you later.